Let's get going. So, welcome, ladies, to the 3 steps to ease and success. Easy success, ease and success, whatever it is that you want to talk to. We're just going to dive right in because I'm going to share with you a fair bit of content, a fair bit of gold nuggets tonight. Now, I've been in my business for over 6 years now, and I've collated quite a lot of little gold through that. And so I want to give you the simple steps and expert secrets to not only get results, but keep them, and also give you exact plan and strategies to create the abundance and fulfillment and freedom from today onwards, so that you don't have to keep on the cycle that you may have been in, on the stuck cycle up until this point. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get in, give you lots of juice, lots of goodness, and gets lots of takeaways as well. All good, Libby. Thank you for coming. Thanks, girls. It's always lovely to have you. Now, a few of you know me, so I'm not going to go into a big spiel of the whole long story of myself. Some of you have no clue about who I am at all, but just to share so we all have a bit of an insight on why on earth are you listening to this and to me today as well. So my name's Miranda Marriott. Thanks. Nice pick. And I have been desiring to have a coaching business since I was 16 years old, wanting to have a business since that point. And I was pretty entrepreneurial, had a couple of other businesses and things, but 6 years ago was when I really started to put my coaching business into practice, in the desire and thinking that it was going to be easy, it was going to be free, it was going to be fun, going to have lots of money, lots of motivational speaking, lots of out there significance, impact, all these things that I thought, and was so excited about it. But, and what we're going to see in a moment, like the reality of business and what it actually is, and the struggle and the hardship and the challenge. Like for me, I struggled in my business for 3 years, and it was not the dream that I had for such a long time. And luckily now I've come around and it really is. But there were some real keys that I learned that shifted it from that place. So to cut a long story short, in the midst of my beginning of my business, when I was launching it, my husband and I had a really sudden separation where I found out some pretty tragic news, and we just had to break up from it. It was very sudden. It was a big shock to me. I was quite obsessed with him, and I had to just end things right there and then. And I was at the time 6 months pregnant. So I was 6 months pregnant, going on mat leave, had started my business, was about to go into it full on to really kick it going. And I didn't have any money. I didn't know, I wanted to be a motivational speaker, a well-being speaker and coach. I was feeling suicidal and depressed. I had no idea how I was going to start a business when I was in that place, but I also needed to, because we had no money. And I just had the worst thing in my life, and my relationship had ended. I was becoming a single mom before I was even a mom. No job, no money. My health wasn't the best it had ever been, in that state as well. So all of the things I prized on myself and put my worth on just came crashing down within 1 month. I was on the peak and the high of my life, and then it came into a broken mess. So that is the foundation in which I built my business on, really. A few weeks, months later, I came quite a 360. I picked myself up, I put the pieces back together, and I decided, I had two choices. And a lot of the time we often have two choices, and we're going to see that later tonight. It was, I can either decide to let this destroy me and just, destroy more of my life and become a zombie, or even destroy my life altogether, which was a fear and a thought of mine. Or I can let this be a launching pad and a bouncing of me forward into what I want to create, and this to be the real pinnacle and turning point. And so, there was a song at the time that I really held on to, which, the wave that was meant to crush you will be the wave that will lift you high. And for me, at this point in my time, that is exactly what happened. And so I propelled myself and my business forward just as my son was being born. He was 6 weeks old, and that's when I really went into doing my business. And, obviously I hadn't really had a lot of business experience, was still struggling with some self-worth and issues that I had to recover and face. And so, for the next 3 years, at this beginning, I was working 50-hour weeks when my son was napping just to get a business going, tearing my hair out, niche, no idea what I was really doing, no idea with the strategy front, and just couldn't make it work. I was getting a few $1,000s here and there, but it was very inconsistent, all up and down. So what did I do, which a lot of people do? I got my first strategy coach, put $8,000 into her, and I only had a little bit of savings. So it was basically a majority of my savings, into this strategy coach, thinking they're going to save the day. And look, you'll understand from what I'm going to share later that strategy is helpful and there's a point of it. But what happened was I started to make some progress and momentum, but I then got really insecure and all this emotional issues came up and my energy was really off. And so my business went really backwards after I really went forward in the strategy front. And so then I had to get a mindset coach, you know, and then I had to get an energy coach and an emotions coach. And I just had to keep getting all these pieces because I'd get one piece of the puzzle right and something would start to flow, but then another part would crack and my business would fall down somewhere else. And so I felt like, you know, this big puzzle that I couldn't figure out. And I would sometimes make headway, sometimes wouldn't, sometimes make $5,000, sometimes zero, you know, sometimes 7, sometimes 0. But there was this $10,000 month that I was desiring. And like a lot of the coaches do in the business world in my sphere. And I just could never get it. And it went on for 3 years, the pain, the exhaustion, the boredom, the frustration, the like lack of presence I had with my son in some of this time because of the stress my business was causing. You know, and there's a beautiful quote that I'm not going to say perfectly because I haven't written it down right here, but basically, you know, when there's a desire in our heart, like our business or some dream we want to birth, if we birth it and we create it, it's like one of the most highs and the most beautiful things in life. But if we do not, it destroys us. And that is how I felt. There was this beautiful business that wanted to be birthed, but it wasn't occurring smoothly and easily. And it wasn't really feeling successful. And it was destroying me from the inside out. Now, you know, fast forward 3 years, and I then started to uncover some key pieces I'm going to share with you a bit later on around my consciousness, around my focus, around my energy, around my emotions. And this was vital in order for me to start creating success and easy success consistently. So by meditating and not actually doing the just relying on the strategy, there was 1 month I didn't do any strategy. I just meditated for a month and did all this energy work. I got my $10,000 month, which I was trying to do for 3 years and never got. The 1 month I didn't do any strategy work. I did fully focused just on the energy stuff. I got a $10,000 month. But that alone isn't sustainable. So I didn't create it again. And so I had to keep piecing all the pieces together. And what I'm going to show you today is all these pieces I've gathered to the point where then once these have all like a jigsaw put into place together, not one piece missing, it's all in together beautifully and arranged like a tapestry. Once that is all together, I made a $10,000 month. I made a $20,000 month. I made a $30,000 month. I made a $100,000 month. And I have not gone backwards from a $20,000 month ever again. And my whole life, I struggled with money. My whole life, I struggled with scarcity issues. But for 2 years, I've not had an issue again because I've put this puzzle piece together and I've put all these pieces together. And that's just the money front. The level of fulfillment, freedom. I work 10-hour weeks now and I earn $100K a month on a 10-hour weeks. I'm alive, I'm fulfilled, I'm more radiant than ever. My health is better than ever. The relationships, the love in my life, men, friends, my son, all incredible because of the growth and all of these pieces. It doesn't just create money. It creates the dream life. It creates the dream you. It creates everything. It brings it into reality. All parts of life have been changed from this tapestry that I'm going to show you. So I'd love you to put in the chat, what is your key takeaway from just what I've shared right there? And we're going to keep moving on in a moment, but yeah, just really want to see what it is that you've taken away. Some of you have heard that differently, and I always share it a bit differently as well. But yeah, love to know. And just while you're sharing that, I want to let you know a little bit of my why. I've told you a bit of my why personally. So my personal why for myself was to create freedom, fulfillment. You know, I wanted to be a coach since I was 16. It was a part of who I was. And I wanted to create a business that freed me up to be all of myself and my full potential and my true nature, which is what my business does. And it then freed me up to be with my son, you know, and have beautiful time with him and create a life and to show him that he can create anything. That was my personal reason. But my true reason into you as women and why I do what I do now as an intuitive business coach and an abundance coach is, you know, that empowerment, that change I went through from being broken and stuck in the same issue in my business and all issues, my relationships, health, time and time again. When I came through and overcame the business issue, overcame the money issue, overcame that, I felt so powerful and free, and that I could go and create anything. It's like this unstoppable, limitless Wonder Woman feeling. I can't describe it to you if you haven't experienced it, but I guess you can imagine. And now I am on a mission to help every woman I know who wants to do this work, like come into their power, come into their abundance. And I believe that when women change at that level, I think their world changes, their family changes, but the whole world changes. One of my big whys, the big missions behind why I do what I do, is I actually want to go into even developing countries and people who are really struggling as well, and support them in this way as well. Because I think if a woman in a tribe and these places like can create an entrepreneurial business and create money for a family, like the whole community changes. And I believe that's the same for us, you know, in our day-to-day life. The women I work with, I see it time and time again. So that is why I do what I do. So thank you for writing little messages here, ladies. Focus is super important, but remember, anything is possible. 100%, Claire. You know, and I was someone who always thought, you know, it just doesn't work for me this way. I'm just a loser. I'm just stuck this way. I just don't create money. I don't create abundance. Like this was always the thoughts for me, but I was able to break through from these things I'm going to share. Strategy and mindset are important, but getting in touch with yourself and your alignment, your true nature brings real success, physical, emotion. Yes, that's perfect. Love it. And this is the thing, right? I was, before I was a business coach, I was a health coach. I was worked in self-worth and emotional eating and things with women. Same thing applied. You know, it was never the diet that saved anyone. 98% of diets fail. Most of them, the other 2% that work probably are maybe in, you know, irregular eating that's not really healthy if that's working for them either. So it's not the strategy. It was always the inner work that shifted it all. And I can say that for my own health. And it's the same with business. It's the same with money. It's not, the strategy plays a part, and we're going to look at that, but it is not the main player. 100%. Women can change the world. Yes, that's right. I really do believe that. Okay, so some of you may feel, you know, and I would love you to think about right now, like, how do you currently feel in business? How do you currently feel in yourself? And you can put in the chat if you want, you know, what's the key challenges and struggles that you may be having, you know, because I explained a bit of my story and the bashing my head up against the wall, feeling like I was on this hamster wheel, doing all of these things, doing all these actions, doing everything my coaches were telling me, spending, now it's come to $300,000 on my own personal development, my business development over these years. And it just was like not really sticking, not working. I felt like I was drowning, I was spinning, I was exhausting myself and just getting nowhere. And I wonder, you know, have you ever felt that? And what does that look like for you? So I'm just gonna see if I might need to mute you guys. So yeah, I'd love you to think through, what has that experience been for you? Where are you at right now? And I'm going to share with you the key on how to break through. Trying heaps of tactics, but not able to trace any cause and effect. So how would I even figure what is working? Yes, interesting. And that was a big thing that I was doing as well. So Claire, this is going to really support you. Now, I'm not going to explain every piece of this diagram. This is a really key piece, and I could explain this for a very long time, but, you know, I want to get as concise and succinct as I possibly can. But this is the key foundation of those puzzle pieces that I found really worked. And if you take one out or whatever it is, you know, it falls down. And so this was really key to get my changes, all of the pieces. I'm going to explain one by one at a time. So the first thing, letting you know, so all circumstances, just for your understanding, are neutral. All circumstances in and of themselves are neutral. There is no good or bad circumstances. It's always about what we make it mean that creates the ripple effect. So for instance, I'll tell you this as an example. Before I made my $10,000 a month, $20,000 successive times where I changed 2 years ago, there was a point, and it was actually around 2 years ago from around now. There was a point, and I got into $20,000 of debt in my bank, not including the house mortgages and all the other things I had in debt. I was minus $20,000 in my bank account. I was getting a loan from someone to pay me. I was spending $4,000 a month on coaches, and I had 4 months. It was the worst time of my business. I had 4 months where I had no clients coming in. Now, that circumstance was, where I was in debt, I was in lack, I was a single mom, like really facing down the barrel of fear of like, I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to have to move out, I'm going to have to live with my family or even be homeless. Like, those worst fears were coming to a head. That was the circumstance I was in. I was in debt, and that was just the circumstance. Now, what happened is that I started to focus on the debt. I started to focus on the lack. I started to focus on everyone saying no to me. I have no sales coming in. No one likes me. Everyone hates me. I'm going to go eat some worms. My business is failing. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. That was what my focus was on. That was what my consciousness, my psychology was talking to me. And so then I was flat. I was depressed. I was hopeless. I was guilty. I was like, I spent all this money on me and my business, and it's still failing. I was guilty, and I have not spent it on my son, in this position, this time, put ourselves in this position, shame, insecurity, all the things, lack, debt, scarcity. It kept bringing more and more of this in. I was getting myself in a spiral and a cycle that was going down because my energy was like that also. And so I kept bringing in more bills, kept having all these problems occurring, and keep having people saying no. I was taking some action. I was still running some sales calls. I was still doing some things, but I was doing less and less because I felt depressed and I didn't want to do it. And I didn't have any way of understanding intuitive action. And I was just trying to follow some strategy that these business coaches had told me. Like, you have to be a strategy coach. You cannot be, an energy emotion coach with business, for instance. So I was taking action that wasn't aligned with me, and I wasn't taking a lot of it because I was getting more and more stunk into this hole. So you see how this all trickles on. So money was not occurring. There was no money coming in. There was no clients coming in. My business wasn't growing. I was feeling depressed. All of the end results were that. Now, what happened? What changed? How did I do this? I'm going to break it all down, but just the brief example, the circumstance is actually neutral because I started to focus on how abundant I was. Even though I had this debt in my bank account, I started to focus on the abundance in the trees, the abundance in all the things in my house, how much money I still had surrounding me, how I was still okay because I could get out of it this way, and this person could help me out, and all these things. I started to look at the abundance I had. I felt that I just had to keep shifting some things. I felt hope. I felt belief. I felt some confidence because I was like, every time I make a step, I'm learning more and I'm growing more and I'm becoming a better coach. And so I'm coming closer to my next win, and I'm learning. And I started taking more action. I started putting myself out there, but not just more action. It was aligned to me. I started becoming more intuitive and more certain because the energy, I had more confidence. So when I did take an action, I was on a sales call, I was more certain. Within 1 month of doing these shifts, made my first $20,000 month. And I have not gone backwards again ever since because I shifted these pieces. Same circumstance. I was still in the debt, but it changed dramatically because of these pieces in the middle changed. Does that make sense? Does anyone have a question with that? Or again, even a takeaway? You can put that in the chat. So what I want to hone in on is this consciousness piece to begin with, this consciousness piece. Now, we have basically, it's really a basic running down. There's obviously a lot more to this, but we have different levels of consciousness, and one of them is our superconscious, and one of them is our unconscious. Totally different circumstances, but change the details. And I feel you could be talking about my journey. Yeah, it's a lot of people's journey, Claire, and I work with a lot of different people in a similar position, and you change these middle pieces and it changes everything. So it's, I'm not sure if you've ever heard this before, but it's structural. It is not personal. You are not the one who's got the fault. You are not got a problem. You are not someone who can never run a business. You are not someone who can never create abundance. You are not someone who could never create health, love, all the things. It's not about you. Our brain wants to think it is, but it's not. It's about the structure. It's about these pieces. Change the puzzle pieces and they all fit together. Change and tweak the cogs and it creates and produces a different result. So I love that. Thank you. So consciousness, we have our unconscious and our superconscious. Now you saw in that story, and I'm going to use another client as an example for another story for you to understand, my focus was on all these limiting beliefs of myself. It was bringing myself down. It was focusing on all this debt, all these problems in my life. That was focusing on my unconscious, all of my emotions and my beliefs, the things that were telling me from my past that I would never be abundant, I would never have money, I would never make it. My focus was on all of those things. And because my consciousness and my focus was on all of my doubts and all of this limiting beliefs, I created more of that. That is what I grew. I had, the focus on I was basically spreading the scarcity seeds. I was getting the doubt seeds, the loathing Miranda seeds, and I was creating scarcity trees. I was creating loathing trees. I was creating failure trees because that was what I was focusing on. Then next month later, I shift and I focus on what I love. I focus on serving clients. I focus on the women I want to help. I focus on my certainty in myself and what I deeply know about me. I focus on those things. I focus on my superconscious power. This is when I began to understand something called the superconscious, which, I'm going to speak more to. But I learned about my genius. I learned about my intuition. I learned about this dormant power lining within me, which is basically like Wonder Woman, the Miranda version of Wonder Woman. And I started to focus on that power and that certainty with these tools and these practices that I deeply embody. And I've just got into this level of mastery and love of now. And that was the beginning of when I just uncovered this, and it just changed everything for me. I created a completely different result. Firstly, because of my consciousness and my focus. That was the first piece. Absolutely right about focus. When one of my brother, hundreds of thousands, I've always told myself I will always have an abundance of money. Interesting. Yeah. And this is the thing. When I was growing up, and I used to have jobs. I was in HR. I was at, quite a high level in well-being in a school, jobs that paid well. My focus was still, didn't matter how much money I had. My focus was still on debt and scarcity, on all these issues. And then that is what I created. That is more of the problems I created. I'd lose jobs, or I'd keep spending all the money, and when I shift focus, it creates a complete different thing. So there's a lot to this, and I don't have a heap of time to tell you it, but I'm going to just show you who has seen me do the potato experiment. Anyone, put in the chat if you have, or if you haven't. Here's a potato. It's raw, completely raw. And what I'm going to show you is it's 2 focus points and what happens. So firstly, I'm going to focus on my beliefs and my doubts, which is this is a raw potato and here's a little flimsy straw. I'm not going to be able to get this straw through this potato. That's my doubts. That's what I'm focusing on. That's my unconscious telling me these things. And so I'm focusing on the unconscious. Let's have a look at what happens. I'm going to try with all my strength. I'm going to use the best strategy, the best angle, whatever, and let's see just what happens. I don't know if you can see, but it went, where's even the hole? I can't even see the hole. Oh, it went, probably to about there, that way through. Okay. So that was when I was focusing on the beliefs that this is impossible. I can't do it. Pretty good effort for a raw potato, but it didn't go all the way through. It just went to about there, the quarter of the way. Okay. Now I'm going to focus on my superconscious, which is my genius that has the limitless power that can create anything. I'm going to focus on that, and let's see what we can choose. Now, I am under pressure because you guys are watching me and this is all recorded and all the things, but I'm going to try and still choose to focus on my superconscious and my power. And I want you to see what can happen. So when I'm in my superconscious, I believe I can actually go all the way through. I believe I have the power and the ability to do anything. I'm limitless. Now let me just focus here. Didn't happen because I was still focused on you guys. This has happened in the live ones before. I'm going to give it a couple more goes. And if not, I'm going to have to send you the one where I do it. It's just in lives. When I'm at home, whatever, I do it every time. But in these, I do get a bit of pressure. Okay. You guys see? It's all the way through. I didn't do any different strategy. I didn't do any other little funny thing. See, I'm not making it up, all the way through with ease, whereas the other one, Other two went about a quarter of the way through. Yeah, I might just stop the share so you can see it all big. So just a little example, can't even get it out. It's that tightly in. I don't know if you guys can see. Anyway, it's all the way through. That is the power of consciousness. I focus on what I am deeply desiring, and I'm focusing on this power and my superconscious, and it can do anything. But if I focus on my doubts, my beliefs, all these things, it does create a more human response, whereas that is like I'm a godlike superpower type response. We're just touching on it, but there is so much I could share on this. This is like my life's work, the stuff that I love the most. And this is the part that has truly changed me beyond anything. But I'd love to know any thoughts, any takeaway? Anyone amazed? Or is it just like, oh yeah, whatever. That's not that cool, Miranda. Anyway, let's keep going while you write a little comment. You want to try it? Yeah, go for it. Get it. Go and just focus on the end result that you really want, it going through. It's very powerful. It's amazing, isn't it? Love it. So I just want to introduce you to a client of mine. And the reason I'm introducing you this is she really, and I mean, I've got a bunch of clients I could put up here, but she's one of the ones that really reiterate this point about the superconscious. So Lauren was, before she worked with me, she'd spent thousands and thousands on strategy coaches, on all these other coaches, and nothing was happening. She was actually working for a year and she got zero in her business for a whole year, even though she was doing all the strategy, following all the things. That's annoying. Not just annoying, it's not great for family, not everything. You know, it was tiring, unmotivating. We could go on with that story. You might know that story, you know. But when we worked with the superconscious, she came on for 2 weeks. Her first 2 weeks with me, she landed a $25,000 deal within 2 weeks of a year of nothing. Within 2 weeks of the superconscious work, $25,000. And then within a few months, she had an $100,000, collated over 100. And now she just booked out for over a year and all these things. Not just that. It's not just about what happened in her business. She's in alignment, she's in energy, you know, she's living her ideal. She got let go of her job and, you know, really go into what she loved, all of these things. She was an example, same with myself, that trying all the strategy, doing all of this work, she works hard. I was working hard too. We weren't just sitting there twiddling our thumbs, but because the focus was off and we just tweaked that in a deep level, 2 weeks later, it just shifted everything. And this is the power of energy and focus. And again, like it does our head in a little bit. It's like, really? Is that, you know, but I cannot explain to you the power of focus, of tapping into your superconscious power and of creating those sort of results. When we are in just our strategy and that thing, we're just using our human. When we tap into the superconscious, it literally, like, I don't know if you've seen the movie Limitless. I use this as an example sometimes, but he's living this really monotonous life, Bradley Cooper. Limited, you know, I think he's got no money, he's a failed writer, his relationship's going down the toilet, all these things, finds this pill that activates his whole brain, activates all parts of him, and he becomes limitless. I'm not selling a pill. You don't need to take a pill for the superconscious. You just tap into it within yourself. It's this untapped energy and dominant, you know, power within you. Tap into that. That is where, literally, kid you not, my whole life changed. Like in the movie, he gets abundance, he has this beautiful relationship, health, all these things, you know, he goes on a bit of a journey with it, but he comes around and every area of his life's just escalated and elevated, and he's just his next level. So that's the power. Everything we need is within us. That's it. Just so much of us, we don't know how to tap into it, you know, and we can try all the things, but unless we have the real structure, the process, we're sort of walking around in the dark, like blind, you know, not knowing what's going on. So I'm going to help you activate in a moment all these pieces, but I'm trying to introduce them first and then we'll go into it. So now let's look at energy. Now, energy is slightly different, you know, because the consciousness is a little bit more around, you know, the actual conscious focus, you know, in your mind, the unconscious and the superconscious. Your energy is really the body-based emotional vibration. You know, if you ever know anything about Joe Dispenza or any of these things, like it's not just about your focus and your intention and your psychology, it is also about your emotion and your energy and your body. And they both need to be an aligned message. And if they are not, and if say you're working on one space and not the other, you're sending a static message out to the universe, out to the world. And so it's not actually going to create, you know, it's same as you're on a radio station and, you know, you're trying to tune in. It's that static sound. If it's not aligned, it doesn't create it. These two have to be aligned. Because for years, I used to try doing some mindset stuff, whatever, but if I wasn't doing the energy emotion work, it wasn't going deep enough. My mind would have wanted something, but my body wasn't on board. It wasn't okay with the success. It was freaked out. It was scared of it. It was, you know, deeply fearful. So it was sabotaged every step of the way, even if my head wanted it and I was really intending and focused on it. And so the energy part is very important as well. And so there were some key practices when I shared that story, and, you know, it's continually now where I had to do some deeper work around the energy front. So, you know, when I was in that month, and even just recently when I'd had 100K a month as well, I had to do a lot of energy work to be able to create that within a month. To create $100,000 when you're working 10-hour week, like energy and emotion was like really where I was honing in on. I had to do a lot of shifting. And what I uncovered is that, you know, there's all this history, all this stuff in my family, where my dad particularly like grew up on a farm. There was food and there wasn't. There was money and there wasn't. And there was all this scarcity and fear of it running out and jobs running out. And there was experiences as a child where my dad had a job and then he lost the job and all these things. And so there was this level of inconsistency in my life and my business, because that is how I grew up. And that's the way I thought life was energetically, not just in my mind and in my focus, but actually in my body. That's what I thought was right. That's what I thought I deserved. That's what I thought life was for me. You know, I was in debt. I was in lack. I was in scarcity. It comes and it goes. It goes through my fingers. All of these things were how I deeply felt. And even if I consciously knew that's not true, Miranda, you know, it's not happening anymore, my body didn't. And so I had to do some real emotional energy work that, again, I'm going to help you have a look at in this little activation I'm going to do in a moment. But I had to go deep on that, and at a deep subconscious level, like really, you know, an emotional embodiment level, go deep there. Because I was trying to tell myself all the things and focus. And some people, and you know, will do all the focus, do all this mind stuff, do all this psychology stuff, but they're missing this. And so that's why it's not consistent, or it's not deep, or it's not lasting, or it's not happening at all. No matter how much they're trying to say these affirmations and all the things they're trying to tell themselves, it's not actually landing deeply. And so I want to show you guys a little example of the energy. And again, some of you may have seen this, but this is, again, just mind-blowing. So really, to let you know before I explain this, get into this, there are different frequencies of energy and of emotion. I don't know if you know much about the levels of consciousness and different frequencies of emotion and how much you've looked into this or not. But there are things like joy, and there are things like well-being, freedom, that are very high frequencies. And this is quantum physics, actual scientific frequencies of emotion. They're very high frequencies, and they expand our energy. They expand our vision. They energize us. They empower us. They, you know, recuperate us, repair, and set us on for more, you know. And then there are frequencies of emotion that are lower vibration and have a lower frequency. They're more dense, they're contracted. They actually might lead to sabotage, resistance, less action. The action we do isn't even actually helpful or relevant or powerful. And that's like shame, guilt, you know, apathy, hopelessness, you know, those sort of things. There's a bunch, and they are going to constrict us and contract and limit the opportunities that we may have or take in our life. And I'm going to show you this in a practical sense so you can see it. Now, I might actually take the little screen off here because this needs to be big. Heard this recently. Fear is 100 hertz. Love is 528. Yeah, great. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different frequencies for a lot of them. So this is my little, these are literally coat hangers that I've straightened out, metal coat hangers. And I've straightened as well as I can. You can see they're not super straight. And I just put a like straw and just a little angle here. Okay. So, just let this let it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold these straight and I'm just going to tap into emotion. Now I'm going to speak them out loud so you know what I'm feeling into, but this will move if I'm silent as well. Okay. It's just about feeling the emotion. It's not necessarily about the words as such. So I am so excited about the freedom we're about to have with COVID. I'm about to be open, like to be able to maybe travel in the near future. I haven't traveled for so long. I've spent so much of my business, I haven't traveled. And I cannot wait to travel. I can't wait for Harry to go overseas with me. I want to go to Disneyland with him. Like there's so many exciting, fun things that are going to happen. Literally not touching my hands. I'm not moving him. These are moving. They are opening. They are expanding because I'm tuning into joy, freedom, excitement, and my energy is expanding as a result. There's a field around me that is expanding as a result. I'm going to be opening to more clients. More people are going to be seeing me. All the things are going to happen when I'm in this frequency. But I'm still stuck in COVID right now. And I've got to look at whether I'm even going to have the vaccine or what. And I'm looking at all of these fears that could come up. It's like, what is the vaccine going to do to me? Is it going to affect my health? And I feel like I'm just stuck either way. It's like, I get the vaccine and I got some freedom, but then I don't get it, or maybe I have some health issues. But if I don't get it, I don't get freedom, and then I'm like, oh, is it going to affect kids and all these other things are going to happen? It's like, oh, far out. Like, what's going to happen there? Constricting, closing. I try and get seen. I try and, tell people about Miranda and her business or, well, come on the sales call with Miranda. But I'm in this energy. I'm in this space and it's all constricted. It's blocking money. It's blocking clients. It's blocking people from seeing me. It's blocking all the things. Kid you not, I had an $100,000 month working 10-hour weeks, predominantly working on my emotions and my energy and doing my embodiment practices to clear that, to keep moving out of the doubt, moving out of the freaking out, moving out of this is impossible, can't do it, to going into I can, this has happened, I've got it. No, this is 80%, I kid you not, 80% of my time was spent in the energy, in the emotion, shifting it, doing that work. 20% of the time was doing an action, a strategy. I did 2 trainings. That was it. A couple of messages, like hardly any time in that. I made $100K month working 10-hour weeks because of this work. Tell me what you guys think. Is it cool or is it meh? I've seen better, Miranda. You go, your magic chips, they're not amazing. Tell me. Cat feels it. I love it. Animals are so, kids, animals, like, I used to know all this intuition, all this important stuff, but we lose touch with it. We lose touch with how powerful we are and how important this is. Okay, so I'm going to let you keep chatting away there while I move through. Again, it's not just me. It's not just me, Miranda. It works on no one else. I just had, this is Darian. We literally just had a session last week doing this energy work. 1 week ago, we did this. This last week, she's had 2 people reach out to invest $300,000 into her business. She'd been struggling in her business from COVID. We actually hadn't had a session for a lot of the year because there was all these things happening for her. And we just got back to a session. Then in that session, this is what happened. A company had been following her journey. We're closing down. They want to give her all the clients as well. This has all happened in a couple of days. Public speaking opportunities come out. She's had an award nomination. These rare opportunities to purchase a business she used to manage with Synchronicities Complementary. It's going to support her business growth. There's about 4 or 5 things that have occurred in this 1 week, the 1 week of doing the energy work. I've had clients like literally do a session with me. The next day they draw in, not had clients for a year again, and then draw in like 3 clients just randomly coming to them. I'm not going to, I could tell you thousands of stories and we're not going to be here all night though. So what did I do in the 10 hours per week to build 10K months? I'll tell you that in a moment, Libby, but all this work I'm telling you about, the super conscious work, the energy work, and we're going to move on to what else, but I'll tell you it all in a moment. If you still have that question later, let me know. So the last piece here that I'm going to share with you is the action piece. So yes, the energy matters. Yes, the super conscious, like those things are predominant, in a lot of ways, But yes, our action also matters. Yes, the level of strategy and inspired action we take does matter. There was a month I had, as I told you, I sat there meditating, and I made a 10K month, and I didn't do anything else. Like literally people just came to me. I didn't do any marketing, but that isn't necessarily sustainable. The next month I doubted I could do it again. I'm not saying that we're just going to sit there thinking and meditating and whatever else I get, my clients to do. There's a whole lot of stuff, but I'm not saying we just do that and then we just wait. There is action, there is things that we take. It's just that when those pieces are aligned, it's a much more effective action. That's why I didn't have to do very much. Well, good, Dale. Didn't have to do very much to create, an 100K in a month. Didn't have to do a heap to do 10K, 20K. I was working 50-hour weeks, then went to 10-hour weeks, making more money than I ever was before, because there has to be an alignment. And I use this example that before, when I was doing the 50-hour weeks, I literally was going this niche, have no idea what I was doing, like following what this coach said. And the coach told me to do stuff that was like not aligned with me. She told me to go into, I've had lots of coaches tell me a whole bunch of stuff, these strategy coaches. But one example was she told me to get into a weight loss niche because that was the only niche I could go into at the beginning of my business. But I was not passionate about it. I wanted to be resilience coach and all these other things because I just went through this breakup and this horrible experience and I'd come through. That was my biggest achievement and my accomplishment is SHIP. She said, no, I was going to come to that. So I did action that was not alignment to me. I did action that wasn't aligned with my energy, got hardly any money coming in, hardly any business. Shifted, literally the first month shifted into a general coaching niche where I did just resilience coaching and the things I wanted to do. Made the biggest money I'd ever made, even though I was going against what she'd said and the strategy said. So there are two types of action. There are the strategy. There's actual strategy, business strategy. Like there is a level of business acumen that you do need to have. There is a level of business insight and strategy that I've accumulated over 6 years and all the coaches I've done, all the things. That is just smart strategy, smart business sense. Like there is that level and sort of foundation. But then there is also intuitive action that is more inspired, more aligned, more a part of your soul, more a part of your true nature. There is that level as well. And that is why I was necessarily, following what, and this is the issue that a lot of strategy coaches have, was following what the strategy coach was telling me. But it wasn't aligned to me and my intuition. And it was against that. And so it wasn't paying off. Sometimes that general strategy stuff pays off, but sometimes if it's not in alignment with your intuition and those things, it doesn't. And so then when I tuned into my intuition and I take action from that place, same as when I had a business coach and he told me I had to be a strategy coach. I couldn't be an energy, motivation, superconscious, all the things. I couldn't do all this coaching. That's when I had 4 months with no clients when I followed what he said. Because that's what strategy made sense, of business acumen sense. Followed my intuition, did this work, exploded. Because this is my heart, this is my nature, this is my energy, this is my years, 15 years of work in this space, 8 years of uni, 6 years in this work, like immersing in this stuff. This is my love and my expertise. And so intuitive action is also really vital and important. So both of them are vital, but the difference here is when we're taking action, just doing whatever, like the strategy coach tells us, whatever, it's sort of, I felt like I was taking like this machine gun, like, I'm going to try and like go and, maybe not a machine gun. I love Cupid gun. Like, I'm going to go try and get all these clients and just do all this random stuff they're telling me to do. Or strategic stuff, but it's just not actually aligned to me, or actually got really focused and honed in and got all those things lined up, my consciousness, my energy, bang, take the one action I take in the day or couple or whatever it is. And it lands and it's perfect. That's the difference. So Kenny T takeaways, ladies, thoughts there. I'm going to share about Christian as you make a note there. So Kristen, again, had been in business for a little bit, but she just was floating around a couple of K months. And then within this strategy work that we did, and it was strategy work, like we did foundational strategy work, but then also did intuitive business, strategy work. She made a 20K a month. Yeah, that's all right, Claire. All good. And so before, doing this strategy work with me, the intuitive business work, she had a lot of blocks. She wasn't moving forward. She just kept getting the resistance, and then working with her intuition and working from a strategy point of view and action point of view on that front, she was able to create what she wanted, and she, you know, still continues to from then. And so strategy action, as I said, is still important, but it has to all flow in together. It has to all be aligned. Line up the energy and consciousness in intuitive action that's aligned with your heart-centered business, for your desires. Yes, for your biz. Yeah, 100%. And that is why, you know, for years I had strategy coach after strategy coach and did all this stuff, and I just kept cycling through. And so it's very important to access our genius in insight into these things as well. But as I said, action still matters. Action still matters. I think my brain is searching for the me part of my actions, but coming up with nothing. Okay. Well, maybe this next stuff might support you. I'll let you know. You let me know. Okay, I'm going to mention this quickly, and we're going to do a bit of an activation on. I want to mention a few things. So what I found, you know, in the women who have really, I mean, this is just a couple of examples, and, you know, and I'm sharing a couple of examples of my journey, but there are so many examples in my journey where this has played out, and in the women. But the women who have really gone and built successful, amazing businesses and fulfillment and freedom and all the things, you know, and myself, what really was the game changer was that there were, you know, for the 3 years in my business, yes, Claire, a lot of other people's advice. And this is where the typical business strategy doesn't work, you know, because it is just what something worked for someone. And so that's where you need to know about your actual genius and what actually works for you too, because not everything is going to work for you also. So there's a bit more of a variety there, a bit more of a difference there. So a key thing that really made the shift for me for 3 years of my business didn't succeed, you know, was really, you know, circling through the same issues, and then bang, shifted and never gone back again, just continue to expand. Because I went from a hobby to a pro in my business. There was literally about this time of the year, like 2 years ago, there was a point where I was like, enough is enough. You know, I'm done. I am done making the same mistakes. I'm done cycling through the same patterns over and over again in my business. I'm done treating this like a hobby. Like, you know, I thought I was taking it seriously, but I really wasn't. I wasn't really focused. I wasn't really all in. I wasn't really, you know, and it was just this moment. I remember the exact moment. And I was basically like, whatever it takes. I just was like the pro. It's like they approach it like whatever it takes, whatever I need to invest, whatever time, whatever it is, I'm going and I'm making it happen. I don't care what, you know, I don't care what doubt. I don't care whatever blocks, resistance, excuses, blah, come up. I'm making it, you know? And that was a really key shift, because when I was in the hobby, it was like, oh, maybe I'll do it later, or, oh, you know, there's this reason why I'm not making it, you know, that sort of energy. I'm a single mom and, you know, like, just woe is me. And I really made this shift. And that is when I uncovered the super conscious work, is when the energy stuff really landed, is when like I just went all in, invested, you know, what I needed to get who I needed to support me in those gaps instead of walking around in the dark. Finally got to the point yesterday. Yes. And it doesn't have to be 3 years like it's been for us, you know, but that is when it was like turning point change. And I just went all in on what I wanted to create in my life. And that's when it shifted. Now, I'm going to take you guys through an activation here. And then we're going to move on to this last piece. So I want you to just shut your eyes. And this is sort of going to tie some of the pieces that we got tonight together for you. I'd love you to shut your eyes and just look at what is it you want to create in the next 6 months in your business or in your life. But, you know, most of us here are here for the business as well, and abundance and freedom. What do you want to create? You know, what's this big, beautiful dream, desire? What would you love to create in your life and for you? You tune into that, feel it, imagine it's like you're actually there, you're actually living it, you're experiencing it, it's happening. And see how that feels in the body, see all that happens, all that occurs. And then I want you to go back to the current reality you're in right now and the truth of where you are right now in relation to that dream and that desire. How far does it feel? What doubts pop up? What fears, what emotions, what frustrations, what challenges come up for you? Whether you think it's possible, whether if it's going to happen, how long is it going to take? All of the things that come into mind. Just let it be, let it play. Go into the depths of it. Feel into how you feel about it right now. And just let that be. Just have awareness of it. You don't have to do anything else, just be aware. And then I want you to actually go back to where you actually were when you created the thing, when you were actually experiencing it, feeling it, and look and notice, what step did you take to get here? What step was it that you took? How did you actually get there? What step was it? And come back and just make a note. How was that experience for you? It was a very little brief activation, a very brief little taste of applying a bit of our superconscious, looking into a bit of our energy and emotion to where we're feeling at the moment, but then also what maybe action could be next for us to move forward. Tell me, how did it feel? What was it like? And I'm going to let you write in there, excited versus frustrating. Yeah. There's a real contrast, isn't there, of those two places. And again, we're just getting a bit of a taste, but there's all the things that pop up on like, well, how do I actually go about it? How do I actually get there? And this really ties into like, what did you do to get there? Like, all these pieces. It's a completely different experience and feeling. Joy versus disappointment, hopelessness. Yeah. Calm that it's just done. Cool. And the thing is, like, this is a taste of these powers within us, but the actual practicality of how we do it day to day and how we actually pull it apart, I can't tell you the level of challenge that popped up for me when I went to create a first 10K month, 20K month, 30K. When I made this 100K month recently, there was that much challenge, that much difficulty and things that popped up for me in it. There is a depth to this work, a depth to how to go about that. And so I just want to ask you, ladies, like right now, again, tuning into that current reality, where you're at right now, where you feel you are in relation to your dreams, your deep desires in your business, in abundance, in health, in love, everything, all parts. How are you feeling right now in relation to it? How is it for you? And I know for me, for a long time in my business and in a lot of my life, this is how I felt. I felt constricted. I felt restricted. I felt stuck. I felt there were moments of excitement or moments of, oh, this is going to happen, or I'm going to work it out and it's just going to fall into place. And then it just continued the same cycle again. And so what I want to share with you, yeah, good. It's great, Dal. So what I want to share with you is the way I came about all of the pieces of the puzzle, and sort of answering, Libby's question also, like the work that I did myself and then I now do with clients to bridge the gap and to create into reality the dream that I had, the desires I had, not just to have it all sitting there wishing it one day and never ever changing it and creating it. This is exactly, what I did to move forward. So I just want to share you this. This is my baby, Alchemy. And I don't know if you've heard of it before or seen it around with my work before, but Alchemy is the creation I've made that has literally got every single thing I've learned, I uncovered, I practiced every piece of the steps to go from, where I was right there to what I deeply desire, 10, 20, 30K, 100K a month. But again, it's not even just the money, the fulfillment, the freedom, the abundance in my whole being, health, all these things. Yeah, beautiful, Claire. So this is a little insight into alchemy and the work that I do on myself each and every day, and I do with my clients as well. And it's an opportunity, an invitation to anyone that feels an energetic resonance, or anyone that feels like there's something that's like landed for them tonight that, they may want to look into and explore. I'm not going to read every single thing of who is this for. You can see it, but basically it's for anyone who might be fresh in business, just starting out, side hustle, or maybe you've been in business for a long time. This work applies to anyone and everyone. It's the foundations for all people. And it's just the people that want to really go deeper in their life, into their power, into their removing the insecurity and the doubt, and to actually bring into their gifts into the world, to get out of the soul-sucking 9-to-5 job or the feeling they've had in their business where they keep repeating the same cycles. The people who are confused with strategy or tired of the hustle, tired of the old paradigm of business. And they want to create magic. They want to create miracles and true inspiration in their life. And why do I do it? So alchemy is it's going to be a 7-month-long journey. The next one has been 6 months. I've just added some pieces to it. Why do I do it over this time? Because I have found for women to really deeply change, and for myself too, it is a deep journey and a deep embodiment of all of these pieces. And if we, I did for some time just do a 1 month thing, or, I did have, some short examples of options. But what I found is that there was often missing pieces that they still weren't getting. And again, I showed you in my story, if we have one of the missing pieces, it just doesn't work. One cog missing in the how to create a Pepsi or whatever, it's not going to create it. It doesn't create the money. It doesn't create the abundance. It doesn't create the freedom. And so that is why I created it this way. And I've literally put in the exact pieces that is required to create the success. It's a structure of success. And so the how, what, there are basically these 3 key elements in the alchemy work. It's the deep superconscious work. It's deeply knowing how to move from limitation, move from the humanness, move from the doubt and the fear and all those things into your superconscious power that just unleashes the Wonder Woman within you, your own version, whoever that is for you. We look into the soul, the emotion, the deep energetic work that it makes you a magnetizing person for like abundance and opportunity and everything. And then we do also look at the soul, like the strategy work, the foundation strategy of actual strategy, but business strategy, but then also the intuitive, inspired part of the business also. And along with this is sort of, the bonus as well is we deeply look into, so it's the alchemy of consciousness, the alchemy of emotions, the alchemy of strategy, business, and the alchemy of money. Because women, we have a relationship to money, and the direct relationship we have with money directly creates what it is we're experiencing. So we actually go deep dive into that as a bonus as well. So if you're feeling blocked, there are really 2 ways to face this in business. And there's probably multiple. But one way, and this is the way I did it for many years, is, we try and, there's a block, we want to have this business, this beautiful thing on creation on the other side. And we try and find a way through. We rock the door, we look into the key, we try and figure out what's, look into the lock, and we, try all these, maybe it's a combination lock. You try all these combinations and thousands of options, millions of options of combinations, and you're just keying them in and doubt, trial and error, just not getting through. That's often what people do, or they ask a strategy coach or something and they've got one of the numbers, but they don't know how to do the others. And so they're just like, deny, not getting through. That's often how we approach it. And we think, oh, I'm going to save time, I'm going to save money, not time. We think I'm going to save money, I'm going to try to figure it out myself. But at the end of the day, what happens, I see a lot of coaches like this, they, and business owners, I don't work just with coaches, but they just end up stopping. They just stop trying. They just give up and they go back to a job or they go back to something else. And they waste their vision, they waste their dream, they waste their life, some of them. That's option one. The option two is to actually go and find the person who has the 4 combination, the 5 combination, the whatever, and key it in and go through. And that is what alchemy is for me. That is what this work did for me. Literally took 6 years, $300,000 to then uncover these key combinations of, oh, it's not just strategy. Oh, there's superconscious. Oh, there's energy and there's emotion. It's not just mind, psychology. It's actually embodiment, emotion. Oh, there's also some money pieces here. Piece them together. Boom, walk through. Here you go, client. Boom, walk through. Compared to everyone else just fishing around in the dark. That's the options I see. Just to give you an insight as what's included. It is over 7 months. And in that 7 months, there are 15 one-on-one sessions with myself. There's a deep dive in that work because some of the work it needs deeper one-on-one time as well, not just group time. There are 30 group sessions where we have myself or other experts coming in and doing teaching, facilitation to bridge the gap as well. There's a 7-month community support where it's constant access to me and the others in the community in the small, I often have these containers that are, a certain number. So there's intimacy there and there's a real beautiful relationship with all the women as well. So that's the total value. Now, I'm not making up numbers. Sometimes you see these things and they like making up ridiculous numbers. Like that is the actual value of what it is currently right now of those pieces. I'm going to skip through this, but you can read that in your own time. Then there's also, as I said, the financial freedom program, that's the strategy program. That piece is already also included as well, because there is some business acumen that you do need as well. There are guided intuitive reading calls where you're actually going to get support from each other to get intuitive understandings into business and where you're at and where the blocks are as well. There are exclusive recorded meditations. There are weekly activations and practices. I'm all about the embodiment, all about the deep immersion. And there's also my Project You Health program, where there's big key pieces of shifting my health, because I think health plays a big role in business as well. And so that's why it's not just about business and abundance, it's about your health, your passion, your pleasure, your love, like all pieces come through this work. Again, not making up the value, that is the total value of those places. So I, as I said, had 2 choices. First was go as cheap as possible, sell as many as possible, do it really small, do it like basic, do it quickly, like all the things. Or go something that's a bit longer, and it's a bit of a higher investment, but it's deeply devoted and literally I give every single piece that has created 100K a month in my business, every single piece has led me to where I am today in this whole lot. And I think, the question I have as well for you is, what is it worth to create consistent income with ease? What is it worth to feel confident and powerful again? And this limitless woman within you, really accessing her and that vitality that you get from that, having more freedom and energy and time with family. How much would you pay to get that? Your dream business, your dream life, all the things. Sometimes we look at investments and we look at what do we need to invest to create these things that we want. And we look at, what the investment is instead of like what we're going to miss out on if we don't make it. There was one example I want to share with you. My husband and I, a year before we broke up, we were looking at getting a relationship coach. It cost $2,000 to get them. We're both earning a full-time wage. We both had lots of money. I would spend $10,000 easily on travel. And I said, nah, it's too expensive. And I was looking at what that investment cost was, but I wasn't looking at what the cost was of not doing it. And what happened a year later is we divorced. I got traumatized. It was instant, it was quick. It was horrible. It was the most dramatic, horrible thing I could explain, And completely, hurt me for a long time. Now, would we have healed? Would we have stayed together if we had this coaching? Often, probably not, to be honest. But I probably would have left sooner, and I probably would have been stronger, and I probably wouldn't have had the devastation and the depression and the suicidal thoughts and all the things that it cost me in my life if I had that support earlier. And that is why I paid $8,000 for my first coach when I was a single mom without any money coming in my business and without a job. That is why I did that, because I was not going to have the same mistake and regrets following me for the rest of my life. Just a little fun thing I did. If some people, they get a strategy coach, $500 a week or so and a standard coach. Mindset coach, $300. Facebook ads or something, because they got to try and pay for some way of getting people. They don't really know how to get people, like $300 a week. Some type of other marketing websites and maybe going to some event or something. Overeating and the stress in the business that would cost them. A stress practitioner, a kinesiologist, or someone else to help deal with the stress. More accreditation because they're not qualified enough. They're so insecure that they need to go get some more accreditation and things. Wasting time, procrastinating, in doubt, and all the things. I'll just put a price. That's $1,750 a week, at least, if not all the other things that you may do. But Alchemy, the amazing thing that I've uncovered is that there is an opportunity for you to actually start working on it, basically working with me for free. It's $100 a week to start with, for the right person. And you build your business up, and then you can start actually paying it later when you actually have created the abundance and things from the business. So this is not, for everyone, it's for the right person. And there's different ways of the investment. So that's why I'm not going into it all right now. But if you are interested in knowing more, if you're interested in Alchemy, I'd love you to reach out. I'm going to show you a little link on how you can book a call to talk about it in a moment. But again, right now, you could do nothing, not take this leap of faith or even interest, of what is this? And it's 100% risk-free. Or you could take a small action by reaching out and finding out more info and booking a call with me and, actually get the return on the potential investment that you're going to make. So there's the two choices. So what I'm going to do, the people watching the replay, there's going to be a link below. There's going to be a link to see the more information on Alchemy. But for you ladies, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat here a link to book a call in with me. Now, I also have other information on Alchemy as well, and I can send you through that. But this is just a short call to touch base, be in shoe in with each other, and just see if that's something that you want to look into or not. There is never any pressure. The way I work is energetic, and I always love to tune in and see if people are right fit or where we're at and where we're at with each other. And that's where we can go into more of Alchemy and what it is and often investment options, all the things. But the big thing is that, even if we have a check-in, you're going to get an insight into how you can move forward either way, whatever it is. But it's, I have limited time as well. I work 10-hour weeks. So I'm not just sitting here just wanting to offer free calls and having free chats with people. It's for people that are really keen to actually create the life of their dreams, the business of their dreams. I work with women now who are motivated. They're ready to take the action. They're ready to invest. They're ready to change. Like they've done. They want to create. And I want to help women do that. So if you would like, drop in there and book a call with me. And I do have information as well to send. So that is it for me right now, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And if anyone has any questions, they can pop a quick question here. I am going to stop recording. Whoever's watching the webinar, love you.